All right, we're back in the shop. I am trying to finish this off to get ready for paint. And I realized that, well, I knew previously that this perfectly straight piece was not going to line up with the wall very well. And I'd kind of just planned on addressing it when I trim everything out. But I realized that I want to have a really flush look. I don't really want a piece of quarter round, and the gap is really big. I'll show how big that gap here is here in a minute. So what I'm going to do is take another piece of 3/4 inch poplar. I'll show an example here. And I'm gonna actually glue it on here after I scribe it and cut it to match. So it's a little choppy. Obviously, if you weren't painting it and were staining it, this would not work. I think the proper way of doing this would have been to leave that piece off, install the cabinet, put the piece up there, get a wider piece, scribe it, cut it, and put it back. But we didn't do that. So given how nice everything else looks here, I'm going to take my time with this and try to do it right. So here's what we're doing. I'll just kind of walk through the process. I have, I'd like to actually show how I did this. This is a little bit of a hack. Let's see. So I took this board. I got an extra wide one in case I need to make 2 cuts. I can use a straight edge on either side. So I took this board and a clamp and this extra piece right here and scribed this. I think the compass is in here. Used my kid's compass as a scribe. Put the board up, clamped it to this to set the depth so that it was exactly level. Used my 4-foot level to get it exactly level with the gap that's here. So there's a big gap right here, and then it tapers down to nothing down at the bottom. So set it to nothing, and then clamped this to the board that I'm scribing. So it had a gap of about right there. You'll see that gap in just a minute. And then scribed it with the compass. So just the compass was set out all the way out to about right there, and then just scribed all the way up it. And that gives me a mark that's on this board. So this is the top. You can see the gap at the top is pretty significant. So there's my thumb. So almost a thumb width at the top, and then it tapers down all the way down to nothing at the bottom. So the way this works is this was sitting against the wall. Set the scribe depth to be almost completely the width of this. Not quite, because I am okay with a little bit of a filler here. Set that there, and then just ran it up the wall like that. Now I've got to cut it. You can see I've got the circular saw out. I don't think I'm going to use a circular saw. I think there's probably enough curvature here that it's going to be, I don't know. I just don't think I can do a clean cut with a circular saw. I've seen a smaller circular saw. I think you probably could do it, but I think with a 7¼ inch blade, it just probably wouldn't work very well. Although, now I'm kind of questioning that. But anyways, got some brand new jigsaw blades. Gonna get my jigsaw out. I'm gonna set the angle so it tapers back, so that only the face of this is touching the wall. We'll make the cut. We'll fit it against the wall. Check level. Hopefully it's close, and then I'll just clamp it and glue it to the side of that. Sand everything smooth, paint it, and hopefully you can't even tell that's there. That is the plan. So I'm just gonna keep this video going. It's gonna be a longer one. You're gonna kind of see me working in the shop here a little bit. I may speed it up later. I'm gonna go ahead and make this cut, set the saw up, make the cut, and we'll just continue the whole video all the way through. All right, here we go. Give me a minute while I set up the saw. I'll put the video camera on the tripod here so you can see everything. All right, we've got it set up so that hopefully you can see right down the length there. Get the jigsaw out. I still got a DeWalt jigsaw. Need to set an angle on it here so that we can we're going to want to angle it the other way like that. So So I want it to sit like this so that the long side is the top side, which will fit right up against the wall. I don't want anything on the back, any bumps in the back. And back in. I'm not going to put a lot of an angle on it. Let's see, is there actually a guide? There's not. So we're going to do less than 15 degrees. We'll just do like halfway between 0 and 15. All right, I'm going to set this so that we have 0 movement in the blade. Just going to do a nice, slow, clean cut. See, I've got clamps here. I'll move those clamps as I go. I'm using a 10, let's see, I think I'm going to use this 20 tooth per inch. So it's going to be a very fine blade. I'll show the blade here. It's a very thin blade. So it's a Bosch T101AO. So it says clean for wood. And you can see it's not very deep, which would give a lot of control. I don't need that control since it's pretty much a straight cut, but it's a very fine tooth blade. So I'm just going to take my time and go very slow and see how it goes. Here it goes. Right away, I want a lot more support on the board, so we're going to move the board down a little bit. So I'll just move the board as I go here. Quick comment before I go further. This is going pretty well. It's going to be hard to cut even though it's not a perfectly straight cut, that blade is so thin that it's going to move around a little bit. And it's very fine tooth, which means I'm moving very slow. So I may switch to one of these less fine tooth blades. It's just going so slow that I end up walking a little bit. I'm not very steady. So I may go a little bit longer here on this small part, and then once we do the thicker, I may switch. But so far going okay, I guess. It's cutting very nicely, just quite slow. headphones, it's quite loud. It's going to take a while. Okay. Quick commentary. The DeWalt saw is great. It's working fantastic. I'm really happy with it. I started running the plywood, so it's slowing me down quite a bit. So we'll readjust here. Things are going really well. Just taking my time. Feeling like it's going to be a long time, but we're going to switch this. I wonder why I'm doing this on a pair of storage containers. That's because despite all the work I've done on things like this, I don't have a pair of sawhorses. I just don't do this frequently enough, and often I'm out doing much more extensive construction work, or rough construction on the building a pair, or just cutting off the stack. And I don't have a huge shop, and normally there's automotive stuff in here. So there we are. Alright, I'm going to cut a little bit and I'll switch this back. So far the cut's okay. I think it's probably going to be a little wavy. Just looking at it, and yeah. but pulp should handle it. I just need the filler to fill the main gap. Okay, let's keep going here. Like I said, long video, just cutting, but I'll try to provide some commentary along the way. Switch a battery here in a minute, but I wanted to comment on something. I want to bring the camera over to do it. So I'm going to bring you over here. So while I'm doing this, like I said, I've not used a jigsaw a lot, but I want to just show something. One of the things I learned early on when using a circular saw, which is applying here, is that you're making the cut, you really want to focus. I'm spending most of my time, even once the blade's up tight, I'm spending most of my time focusing on the gap here. That gives me 2 points to create a line, essentially, so that's where it needs to be on the line. And then, I just know that due to the angle I'm cutting at, this guy needs to be a little bit closer. So I'm about, halfway, but towards that side a little bit more. I'm just watching that with my eyes as I go. When I was watching the blade itself when I started, just have a tendency to just kind of wander around a lot because you tend to crack and then overcorrect and go back. And here, I'm correcting at a much smaller scale, and for every tiny little movement here, the blade only moves a little bit down here. So you may already know this, but it's something I'm using to help make this cut a little bit more clean. I'm going to go ahead and grab another battery pack. I think I'm probably going to need it. I just grabbed the 2 amp hour one, and those tend to go pretty quick. So I'll have this one ready in case I'm in the midst of a cut. Let's get back onto the tripod here. Given how long this video is, I'll probably do some editing afterwards. Clean it up. All right, here we go. I'm going to put something between that board to keep it from, let's see here. I want to keep it from pinching the blade, and it's far enough apart now that I can get something little in there to that might fall, but just do it like that. blade might actually be getting a little dull. It's feeling like it's working pretty hard. Let me go ahead and swap the battery pack too, because I don't know if it's the pack or the blade, but it's sounding a little weak. Alright, here we go. Finished up here. I think the clamps will catch it, so I'm not too worried about that. But we'll slow down at the very end. Here, I'm going to bring it in really close so you can see some of the actual action here right at the end. Alright, so this is interesting. I kind of made a mistake there. You can see the blade is that side of the line. I'm kind of trying to walk it back right now, and it is, it's not going back very easily. So, it's fine. I'll be able to caulk it, but I'm a little frustrated by that. Okay, moment of truth here. I'm pretty happy with how that went. Let's see what it looks like. Oh man, it is really a sliver down there. All right, I'm just gonna carry the whole thing here into the other room and we'll check it out. You can kind of see it's a good cut. I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. But we're going to move it into the room and check it out now. It's paper thin on that other side, so I have to be pretty careful here that I don't bang that on something. It's gonna. All right, I'm gonna show the bottom first. Let's see if we can get right on the edge so you can kind of see. Oops, sorry about that. This won't necessarily be a perfect judge of how we did, but obviously it looks good there simply because it flexes so much, but the hope is that we put this level up against it and you can it's actually pretty level. I'll climb up here and see. Get the camera as close as we can. You can see the level bubble on the bottom. I'm gonna look at the one on the top here. It's okay. Kind of wish the top was out a little bit more, actually. I don't know. I feel like it's better than nothing for sure, but I don't know that I'm happy that it's. That's a lot better. I don't know. Yeah, if anything, the top, that last cut that I said was off a little bit. Definitely was. But pretty happy with that. That's actually really good. Good enough, at least. I mean, that's caulkable. Anything down there is going to be caulkable. You can see spots where I definitely strayed from my marks a little bit or left a spot a little proud. But yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm actually really happy with that. So I'll probably sand this lightly. Actually, no. I'm probably just going to glue it up. I'll take the camera here. Well, hopefully you could see that. Obviously, we'll see it when we install it for the final installation. But right now, the task is to put it right here on the face. So I'm going to go ahead and clamp this. I'll clamp it on like that. We'll glue it, and then hopefully that makes up our gap. You can see it tapers down at the bottom there to almost nothing. So it's a long video, probably the longest video I've done. Obviously, could have done this a better way, but I think I'm going to be pretty happy with the end result. I think that little bump out might help me a little bit there. So I'll clamp this, glue it. I may put a brad nail or two in it, or a couple, just to hold it while the glue dries. And then I'll sand it and we'll paint it. So, gotta lay this down really carefully before I turn the video off, because that end, like I said, I'll show you here, the end is like wafer thin down here. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. That gap is enough to actually be caulkable, but I think I'm going to try to get the whole thing to glue on there. So, there it is. If you forget to scribe the side of your cabinet and your wall is not straight and level, you can always take a jigsaw, scribe it later, and glue it on. I'll come back and show the final product here once I get it glued on. I think a little bit about how I'm going to do that. Make sure it's good. And we'll show the end product when we go to install it. And that's it. Good enough.